What Capricorn Clark, a former assistant to Diddy, shared this week in court had everyone in the gallery silent. According to Clark, back in December 2011, Diddy allegedly became enraged after finding out that his then-girlfriend, Cassie, was seeing rapper Kid Cudi. Clark says Diddy showed up at her home, visibly upset, and told her to get dressed, allegedly telling her they were going to confront Kid Cudi at his house in the Hollywood Hills. Now here's where things get really tense. Clark testified that Diddy brought a member of his security team and insisted she come with him to Cudi's residence. And once there, she says they broke in. Cudi wasn't home, but the emotional intensity of that night didn't end there. According to Clark, she later told an executive at Bad Boy Records, Diddy's own label, that she felt intimidated and feared for her safety during that encounter. Quote, "I told him that Puff kidnapped me with a weapon," Clark testified, using one of Diddy's previous stage names. She also said this wasn't an isolated moment. She described a pattern of control, secrecy, and emotional pressure that she says she endured while working for Diddy. Prosecutors are using Clark's testimony to support their larger claim that Diddy allegedly oversaw a criminal enterprise. Now, what does that mean? According to federal law, in order to prove racketeering, the government must show that at least 2 crimes were committed as part of an organized effort, not just random bad behavior, but coordinated misconduct. Clark's claims, alongside testimony from others like Cassie and an anonymous former employee named Mia, suggest that employees may have been used to help plan and cover up inappropriate actions. Cassie previously testified that she was pressured into intimate encounters arranged by Diddy and his team, which were allegedly scheduled in hotels and sometimes involved third parties. Clark backed that up by admitting in court that she once helped set up hotel rooms and even procured substances at Diddy's request. The big question is, were these staff members victims who were manipulated into helping, or accomplices who knowingly participated? That's what the jury will eventually have to decide. Here's another twist. Rapper Kid Cudi, real name Scott Cudi, also testified recently. He confirmed that shortly after the 2011 break-in, his car was damaged in a suspicious incident. Police later found that the car seen leaving the scene was registered to a company owned by Diddy. Now, Diddy hasn't been charged in connection with that, but it adds a chilling footnote to the timeline of events. This part of the case has gotten a lot of public attention because it shows how the alleged retaliation may not have stopped with one night of confrontation. It may have escalated. In addition to Clark and Cassie, another woman, testifying under the pseudonym Mia, spoke out this week. She worked for Diddy as a personal assistant and claims he crossed boundaries with her on multiple occasions, making her feel unsafe and manipulated over the course of several years. But here's the tricky part. Diddy's defense team is firing back hard. They're not exactly denying his flaws. In fact, they called him a very flawed individual in their opening statements, saying he struggles with jealousy and relationship problems. However, they insist that all of the encounters described in court were consensual, and they argue that the prosecution is cherry-picking details to fit a more sinister narrative. To that point, they even showed an email from Clark to Diddy from 2014, 3 years after the alleged kidnapping, where she asks him for forgiveness, though she never explains what for. They're using that to suggest her relationship with him may have been more complicated than it seems. As you'd expect, public and media reaction has been intense. Mainstream media outlets like Rolling Stone, CNN, and Billboard have been following the trial daily, with some calling it a reckoning, not just for Diddy, but for how power is wielded in the music industry. Social media has been buzzing too, with Hack Diddy trial trending across X, formerly Twitter, and TikTok. While some are siding with the accusers, others remain skeptical and are waiting for more evidence. It's a reminder that in today's digital world, a court trial isn't just about lawyers. It's about narratives, headlines, and public opinion. So where does this go from here? The trial is expected to continue for several more weeks, with more witnesses and possibly even character witnesses stepping forward. Legal analysts say the racketeering charge could be the prosecution's strongest play. If they can show that Diddy used his employees and companies to shield or carry out these alleged actions, the consequences could be significant. But remember, Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges, and under the law, he remains innocent until proven guilty. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you think the prosecution is building a strong case? Or are there too many gray areas? Drop your thoughts in the comments, but keep it respectful.